What's up, everybody? Carolina Jackpot checking in. It's Wednesday morning, and we are going to do our picks and predictions for week number 2 of the college football season. Last week we did a video, and I did it all right. I don't have everything in front of me here. Picked a few games correctly, picked a few incorrectly. I did nail the Purdue beating Louisville by the spread anyway, and a couple of other ones. So we're going to do some more this week. I've got about 20 games mapped out here I wanted to cover real quick. I only got about 15 minutes in which to do it. So let me go over these and give you my thoughts on it and let you know why I picked the way I did. And, of course, I don't pick every single game there are out there. It would take forever. I only just pick ones that pique my interest, kind of, and things that I happen to see. So, week 2 actually gets kicked off on Thursday night. There's a game going on nobody knows or cares about. Friday night, you have Ohio on the road at Purdue. Purdue's a 4-point favorite. I picked them to cover the spread in this game. Jeff Brom has that team getting elevated from dumpster fire to at least mediocre, I think. And I believe that a mediocre Big Ten team should beat Ohio at home by more than 4 points. So we're going to go with the Boilermakers in that one. They showed me a little something against Louisville on Saturday. They did beat them versus spread on that. And, of course, Louisville had a hand in that as well. Really didn't play that well. Oklahoma State is at South Alabama. Why South Alabama is hosting Oklahoma State, I don't know. Or rather, why is Oklahoma State making the trip to Mobile, Alabama to take on the Jaguars? I don't get that. But at any rate, Oklahoma State's a 28-point favorite. Look for them to cover that spread. South Alabama gave up a ton of big plays last week against a Ole Miss team that's just not that good. And Oklahoma State is a really good team. So I think they will definitely cover that spread. Look for Oklahoma State to win that game by like 40 points. Iowa is at Iowa State. Iowa State is a 2.5-point underdog at home against Iowa. These games used to be close. The past couple of years, they really haven't been. Iowa State's they're not very good. And Iowa is, they are what they are. Iowa's always got a tough team, hard-nosed. Last week, home game, they beat Wyoming, which is not a bad football team. 24-3, pretty convincing win at home. So I look for them to cover the spread against the Cyclones in Ames on Saturday afternoon. East Carolina, yeah, you do too, huh? East Carolina's on the road at West Virginia. West Virginia is a 24-point favorite in this game. I look for them to cover that spread and actually exceed a 24-point victory in that one. West Virginia looked good to me against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's got a tough team, tough defense. Will Greer looked good from the second quarter on in that game. Looks like that West Virginia's got themselves a quarterback, and man, I tell you what, poor old Florida, huh? If, guy hadn't screwed up down there, what could that be? Of course, Florida could probably screw it up anyway. East Carolina, on the other hand, at home, lost by 20 points to James Madison, a FCS team. Granted, they were in the FCS championship game last year. However, your East Carolina in Conference USA, or whatever they're in, the American Athletic, I'm sorry, get those mixed up sometimes. And the American Athletic Conference team at home should not be losing to an FCS team by 20 points. I don't care how good they are. So East Carolina, terrible. West Virginia is going to blow them out of the water. Louisville is on the road at UNC. They're a 10-point favorite over the Tar Heels. I look for the Cardinals to cover the spread in that one. They didn't play well against Purdue. They had like 4 turnovers, which kept the game closer than it probably really should have been. And North Carolina just, I think they don't have it figured out at quarterback right now. They've don't have very good defense, obviously, and Louisville's going to get it together this weekend. Don't have time to work on things, and they will win that game by more than 10 points. North Carolina could finish at the bottom of the ACC Coastal this year, and that's a fact. I mean, that's just the way it is. However, I did think they would beat California, travel 3,000 miles across country, play a team that you have you never really played before, have no clue about, and just got embarrassed at home. So they don't impress me. Louisville's going to win that game by more than that. Wake Forest is on the road at Boston College. Boston College is a 1-point favorite in this game. Look at both teams' first week of the season. Both of them won. I picked Boston College to actually lose straight up to Northern Illinois, who was a 3-point. BC was a 3-point favorite, and they actually ended up winning the game by 3, 23-20. And I had picked Northern Illinois to win the game straight up. It didn't happen. But just looking at these two teams last week, yes, Wake Forest was victorious. They did beat Presbyterian 51-7. Boston College, of course, 23-20 over NIU. But Wake Forest just looks better. They look better. They look more athletic. They look faster. Boston College, their games are just hard to watch. They really are. They're hard to watch. And I just think that Wake Forest is a team that's going to get it together this year. They're going to get it together, and I think they're going to make a run at like that, maybe like the third or fourth spot in the ACC Atlantic. Now, I mean, who knows what can happen with the Florida State's quarterback situation? That's all going to get jumbled up. So Wake Forest should win this game straight up and against the spread. Boston College still doesn't impress me. This is an interesting one, if for no other reason than the fact that UAB just played their first football game in over 1,000 days last week. That program was shut down in 2014 for like half a year, and then they got it back together. They're 14.5-point underdogs to Ball State. UAB actually won their first game in 3 years that they played on Saturday against Alabama A&M. We're like 4 touchdowns. They're on the road at Ball State. I don't know that the Cardinals from Muncie really strike fear in the hearts of anybody. And why they should be 14.5-point underdog, I don't get that. Ball State lost last week to Illinois, who is absolutely horrid, by 3 points. That was 2 bad football teams. This is a bad football team against a team that's just starting back out. I don't think they're going to lose by 14.5. I do think they'll probably take the loss, but it's not going to be that. That's going to be closer than that. Old Dominion is on the road at UMass. UMass is awful. That's probably one of the bottom 5 teams in FBS. Absolutely terrible. They lost by 10 points at Coastal Carolina this past week, who's playing I think this is either their first or second season in FBS. Lost by 10 points on the road. They lost to Hawaii, who traveled like 5,000 miles to come play them, and is also not very good. Old Dominion is going to win this game by more than 4 points. They struggled last week against Albany, I believe it was, but it don't matter. They're going to blow them out. Fresno State is at Alabama. They're 43.5-point underdogs, but I think Fresno will cover the spread. I think that's probably going to be like a 35-7 type game. They won. They were bad last year. Fresno State normally had some pretty decent teams. They were bad last year, like 2-10. But they won their opener 66-0. I think they were playing the Sisters of the Poor. Incarnate Word, whatever that is. They shut them out. They're a team from the Southland Conference. They shut them out. So you shut somebody out, and if you're coming off a 2-10 season, either the team you're playing is really, really bad, or you improve some. I think they have improved somewhat. It's look for them to get blown out, just not by quite that much. Middle Tennessee is on the road at Syracuse. The 'Cuse is a 9.5-point favorite. I look for them to cover that spread. Middle Tennessee let me down last week. I thought they would cover the spread and upset Vanderbilt. It didn't happen. Vanderbilt actually looked pretty good. They may be a dark horse in the SEC East. Seriously, Syracuse. I think they're getting that offense up there rolling. The Dino Babers, who came from Bowling Green, known for fielding teams that put up a lot of points. They're starting to do that. They won last week like 50-7. 9.5 points, in my opinion, is not enough for them to be favored by against a Middle Tennessee team that performed really poorly against Vanderbilt. Look for Syracuse to win that game by double digits. Here's an interesting one. Indiana is on the road at Virginia. The Hoosiers are a 3-point favorite. Had a really big letdown last week at home against Ohio State. That game was like 21-all in the third quarter. And then they just totally, depth took a toll there in the end of the third and the fourth quarter, and Ohio State just totally blew them out of the water. That was their biggest game that they've played in years. It was hyped up. They had, all kind of hoopla surrounding that one. And they're traveling to Virginia to play a team that these teams don't normally play each other. I don't know how many previous meetings they have, but I know it's not very many. Virginia, I think, is improving. Bronco Mendenhall, who came from BYU, is a good coach. They were 2-10 last year, but they gave some teams a scare. They almost upset Louisville. Remember that? Almost beat Louisville. It was like 26-21 or something. 27-21. Louisville had to win it there at the end. Well, they won their first game last week, William and Mary. I look for Virginia to cover the spread here and take an upset victory over the Hoosiers. But in other words, Eastern Michigan is on the road at Rutgers. Rutgers is a 5-point favorite. Did anyone see the game between Rutgers and Washington? They gave the Huskies all they wanted last Friday night in the they call it the War Before the Shore. I think everybody thought that they were just going to absolutely get destroyed. They kept that game really close, and they could have easily won that game. Look for them to win this game by more than 5 points. Eastern Michigan is not a bad football team, but definitely, Rutgers, once again, Big Ten school, should be winning home games against teams like Eastern Michigan by more than 5 points, and I believe they will. Look for the Scarlet Knights to win that game by double digits. That's going to be my first half of my picks. I'm going to cut this video short, and then we'll do part two. This will be the more important games, the bigger games of the evening. Week 2 is always kind of a tough week in college football. You got a lot of games, but there's really not a lot to go on. Sometimes there's not a lot of intriguing matchups because you don't, these teams kind of beat up on some of the sisters of the poor, as I like to call them, the first week, and so you really don't have a lot to gauge them on after a performance such as that. So that makes week 2 tough. As you get on into the season, these games get easier to pick, kind of, in my opinion. That's just me. But here at the beginning of the season, sometimes you don't really know what you're going to get. But we're going to do part 2. I'm going to cover Auburn, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, and then a few other ones, and then a couple of upset picks that may or may not come to fruition. That'll be on part number 2 of week 2. All right, guys. Appreciate it. I'll see y'all later. Go Gamecocks.